So, friends, good morning, and this is Dr. Anant Dadhich from MLV Government College, Bilwada, and I take it as a privilege to welcome you back in this class of video lecture. This is BA Part 2nd, English Literature, Paper 1, Poetry and Drama, and for last couple of days we have been doing a very popular poem written by William Wordsworth, that is The Solitary Reaper. So, friends, in the first part of the poem, the poet talks of the scenario of the poem. The poet says to us that once upon a time, when he was going to Scotland through some mountainous region, then he came across a solitary girl who was reaping at her field, and while reaping, she was singing a song. So, in the first part of the poem, the poet is greatly thrilled by the unexpected presence of a girl in such a remote area. And in the second part of the poem, he has been that much overwhelmed by the melody of the song that he compares it firstly to nightingale's song and then to cuckoo bird song, right? So in fact the poem has been a lyric, and it is advisable for all of us to sing the poem simultaneously, so that we may catch hold of intonation part of the poem, and we may catch hold of the music and harmony of the poem, and we may go close to English pronunciation patterns. We may close to the vocabulary part of the poem, since we come from Hindi medium region, Hindi medium schools and colleges. Many of us, you, though from many of you might be coming from English medium schools, but still, since there has been a cultural gap between the Eastern culture and the Western culture, so we are supposed to go close to the selection of the words, like behold. This is an absolute British use for see, beholder, see her. So when the moment we read the poem, the moment we sing the song, since it is a lyric, you know, lyric could be sung, lyric could be sung. So the moment we sing the poem, we may catch hold of many things. We not only catch hold of words, we not only catch of rhyming schemes, rhythm, intonation part, but ultimately we go close to the cultural portion, to the cultural entity that is important. Since in these 3 years we shall study British literature, so literature borrows many things from different sectors. It borrows things from mythology, it borrows things from culture, it borrows things from history, from politics, from anthropology, from family structure, from the institution of marriage. So, naturally, directly or indirectly, many such references come in poetry. That's why the world of poetry is very rich. So, although it is a diversion, but I was emphasizing the importance and significance of singing the poem in the classrooms. Every year we practice singing of many poems like Ice and Fire in BA Part 1. And second year we practice singing The Solitary Reaper, right? And some of the lines of Ode to the West Wind. And in third year we practice singing a poem Ulysses, written by Tennyson, and some of the poems written by Robert Frost. right? Particularly the birches. So, friends, yesterday we did that part where the poet was anxious to know the theme of the poem, what the girl is singing, right? So, he starts from this line: will no one tell me what she sings? For old, unhappy, far off things. The poet, since he has been, overpowered by the melody of the song, by the beauty of the song, right? So he naturally wants to know the theme of the poem, and he asks someone, will someone tell him about the song, about the theme of the song? May he and he himself gives some clues, some conjectures. There are some conjectures on the part of poet himself. Far old, unhappy, far off things and battles long ago. And he says maybe the girl singing about some historical events, about some history, some something which happened in the past, or she may be singing about wars and battles. These are popular themes which are a natural part and parcel of our literature, our fables, of our ballads. You see, ballad is a song which tells a story. So she may be singing of such histories, some of the historical events and incidents. Maybe she has been singing of some battles, right? Some pleasant and unpleasant tales related to wars and battles. Wars, when wars are fought, there are two parts: one who wins and another who loses, right? So there may be the tales of martyrs, there may be the tales of heroism, there may be the tales of nationality, whatever it is. Or is it some more humble lay? Or the poet says in the next line, or whether the song is merely about some ordinary thing, it is not necessary related to history, politics, culture, or whatever it is, but it might be related only to ordinary things of day to day life which are not significant in the eyes of emperors and kings. They are so this is romantic poetry, friends. I have stated earlier, we have discussed this part of romanticism earlier, that romantic poetry is different from the neoclassical poetry in the sense that it talks of ordinary people, it talks of ordinary events, it talks of those people who are not important in the eyes of rulers, kings, and emperors and politics. It is about common men. Whatever is common is romantic. This you keep in your mind. This commonness is always neglected. This commonness is always neglected because society, polity, culture, and history always emphasize the nobility and aristocracy. Whatever is common, whatever is ordinary, is always rejected and neglected. That is why a new stream of literature, subaltern history, has emerged as an important artifact. Right? So that's why and you see the selection of the word like humble, rustic, lay means song. So the poet says maybe the song has been about some ordinary things which are not important. You know, in history, in the records of history, only important things are underlined and underscored. But what happens with those which is not significantly written and recorded? When we voice the unvoiced, when we voice the unvoiced, when we represent the unrepresented, is romanticism. This you can think about romanticism. So finally I come to the last part of the song. Whatever the theme, the maiden sang, as if her song could have no ending. I saw her singing at her work, and over the sickle bending. Sickle means that particular part, particular device with which we reap the crops. Sickle. Sigh. I listened motionless and still, and as I mounted up the hill, and the last two lines are superbly written by the poet. There we can summarize the entire aesthetic approach. The music in my heart I bore, I had, long after it was heard no more. So finally, in the last two lines, the poet says that it is the transcendental experience, it is the elated experience, it is something, eternal experience the poet had while listened to the song of the solitary. And he says without hesitation that for the whole of his life, for the rest of his life, he never had such an experience. Right? So I think you are able to pick up the meaning of the poem. So, firstly, as a student of literature, you are supposed to memorize. Firstly, this is my, a natural, a natural literary request to you, since you come from literature side. Memorize the poem from line 1 to line ending. Behold her single in the field, yon solitary highland lass, reaping and singing by herself. Stop here or gently pass. This, for the first four lines, gives you a glimpse of romanticism. Thank you, friends.